Hello, I hope you're very well. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful dried flower centerpiece for Christmas or just for winter. Using dried flowers is so wonderful because obviously you can reuse them over and over again and they're everlasting. You might have some dried flowers already that you've collected. Throughout the year I pick lovely bits of grass that I like, or dried lavender mist, or I save my hydrangeas. So if you have some of them, perfect, you can use that. Otherwise you can source really pretty dried flowers kind of all over the high street, actually online. They're very easy to find. And so making little things for the table, I have just used, this is just a tiny little bowl. I use cereal bowls a lot of the time. You could use mugs, you can use anything you've got lying around the house. I just like this because it's pretty blue and white and it's a good size. So I've got a little bowl and I've made one here already. You can see it's kind of wild explosion. And so I've got my bowl, I've got some chicken wire, and I've got pot tape, my secateurs, and a selection of flowers that I've chosen. So you want to screw up the chicken wire into the kind of shape that fills your container. And then I've got a little bit of pot tape which will just anchor the chicken wire. Because the stems we're going to be using are very light, I'm not going to do two across, I'm just going to use one to secure it. And then I'm going to start building my shape. If you never worked with chicken wire before, it is just wonderful to get into using it, because it's what we use in the place of floral foam, which is, we've recently discovered that it's terrible for the environment, it doesn't break down properly. So instead, a great thing to start playing with if you're into doing flowers is chicken wire. You can use it over and over again, it's better for the environment, and it is really easy to use, I promise. So you start by building your shape of your arrangement just by kind of feeding each stem into the wire, and you kind of keep standing back looking at the shape you're creating. The joy of this chicken wire is that you can remove and add all the time, so you can take it in and out and reposition things if you don't like where you've done it. So I'm just adding dried hydrangeas. Hydrangeas tend to be quite big headed flowers, but what you need to do with this is, if you're using a small container like I am, is to just break them down. They're very easy, just kind of snip the little florets into pieces. This is a pink Helichrysum straw flower, they're known as. When they dry, they go a bit funny and their stems go a bit brown. Don't panic about that. Just kind of pick off what you can. And the joy of working with kind of dried is that you can almost just rest them in places. Just find a way to support them with another flower or the wire. Yeah, I just love her, just kind of hanging out like that. So these are carps, the snow cape. Most beautiful little kind of snowy explosions, and they add, I think sometimes dried flowers can still have that kind of quite 80s feel where they don't feel that fresh, but I feel this lightness of the white really kind of lifts things. Something very therapeutic. I find doing flowers very therapeutic at the best times, but there's something about little arrangements like this is really calming. This is amaranthus. This is dried amaranthus. It's called Yearning Desert, extraordinary name, but it adds that lightness, and I kind of want them to be at different heights because I've only got two. And actually I'm just going to rest those little straw flowers on top, because what you always want to be aware of is that you're covering the wire. So we don't want to see any wire at all. You want to add the same, so if you've got lots of one flower, so I've got lots of this carps, you want to add it at different heights and different places, so your eye is drawn kind of around the arrangement. These are dried Nigella, which are beautiful and starry, and I really love you look down on them and you can see this kind of little star, very appropriate for Christmas. Add making lots of them actually. Really lovely. And these are old bits of cow parsley. I say old bits. It's a bit derogatory. They're just bits I've saved. And I keep kind of big bits. I have a shed where I keep all my dry stuff, and just tiny little wisps. You really need a little amount. And actually they're still around. If you kind of live in the countryside and we have a hedgerow you can tweak from, they are still around because it's been so mild. Again, adding them at different heights. Hydrangeas jumping out. Hydrangeas are a very good filler as well. You can kind of tuck it in, nestle her in. Oh, look at that. And have some height. And I want it to feel very light and airy. And then what I'll do is have them dotted down the table, and then often you buy Helichrysums, the straw flowers, and their heads fall off. But then I love scattering them on the table as well. I think it's very, just kind of, it's nice having things going the whole way down the table. So you have kind of candles at a high level, and then these, and then you'll have the scattered bits lower down. And that is that. So you can see it's really simple, and you can kind of keep adding and removing, or if you find another thing on your walk, or you can just kind of pop her in. But it's a very, oh actually that's a grass. These are dried grasses, and just a tiny little wisp of that. Can you see it's catching the light in here? But I think that kind of, if you've got candlelight or something, is very beautiful. Just tiny little wisps. Kind of moves in the breeze, it's beautiful. So that is my dried table creations. Very soft and romantic and wispy. You could actually put a very tall candle in, which would be quite magical. You'd have to watch them, watch the flame with the dried stuff. They go up in a flash. Oh, so look, this is a kind of just a headless, stalkless one. So I'll kind of dot her just on the table. But I'll create a lovely table with them, and you can see that finished picture. So I hope you enjoyed that. Have a really happy Christmas and happy flowering. Bye.